Got it. Official.
Oh,
amazing. Well, I do a bit of admin at the start, so some other people might trickle on in. But first, thank you so much to everyone here who has joined us. We so appreciate the fact that you guys...
everyone might need to go on mute.
Okay, but first I can see it says, oh God, I sound so loud. I can see a thing that says you have to hit got it. Okay, I'm muting.
Are we cool? Okay, I think we're good. As I was saying, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate you guys coming again and again to let us talk about sustainability to you all. Obviously, it's something we're all super passionate about, and we love that we get to learn things and then share it with you guys, and hopefully it makes a positive impact on you all. I thought I would get the Climates members to do a bit of a wave so everyone looking knows who is in the Climates group. I'm going to assume you're all waving.
Yoo-hoo!
Amazing. We are just a bunch of people who believe that action is the antidote to fear, and we have a lot of fear around climate change. So that is why we have made this group, and we are doing things like this because it makes us feel really good and it is a good thing to do. If you would like to follow us on Instagram, we have a really easy to remember name, which is __climates__. So if you're not already, have a follow, and hopefully we do some fun stuff there. As Jessie mentioned, we are recording this, so I don't think it records your faces, but if you are worried, feel free to turn your camera off. If you're not worried, please keep it on, because it is good to have positive reinforcement throughout these presentations. We are only going to take up 30-40 minutes of your time, and then everyone can go and have dinner or do what you're going to do. We're going to talk about what fast fashion is, how we got to it, the supply chain behind it, and of course, the most important thing, solutions and actions that you guys can really easily implement into your lives. We have the amazing Maeve who's going to be monitoring the chat in this Zoom meeting. So if you have any comments or questions or thoughts along the way, please feel free to pop it in there. And if there's any questions, we'll do it at the end, where we're going to have a bit of a casual chat. If you can also please update your Zoom name with your name if you haven't already, because we're going to put everyone's names into a random draw to win a prize at the end of the session, which is these amazing skincare products from Ultraviolet. So update your name and Maeve will take everyone's names, and someone will win at the end. So I think that's all my admin for now. We did just want to do a flag that we do not want to shame anyone throughout this presentation. This is not about guilt or anything. No one is perfect. Anything you do to help the environment is amazing. And fast fashion is a super tricky one to navigate. We are all guilty of it as well. So just take this presentation as a moment in time to educate yourself, and then maybe reconsider your thoughts or your purchasing habits moving forward. This is absolutely no guilt on anyone. It's just about learning. So to officially begin, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which I live, which is the Boon Wurrung people of the Kulin Nations. And I would like to acknowledge all of the lands in which all of you guys are living on, wherever that is in the world. And I would like to pay my respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging. So on to the presentation. First up, very simple, but what is fast fashion? Sounds simple, but you might not know. So it's the inexpensive clothing produced rapidly by mass market retailers in response to the latest trends. And as we were writing this slide, I don't know if I'm a dum-dum and I'd never made this connection, but so obvious to think about fast fashion like fast food. Like, it is so highly accessible, it is so cheap, it is so fast, it's really bad for you, and it's highly addictive. So that was just a comparison that clicked in my brain as to how you can think about fast fashion. Next slide, please, Jessie. Thank you. So first, once upon a time back in the old days, the fashion industry looked very different to what it does now. Locally produced high quality clothes were more of the standard and the norm. homemade clothes and family sharing. As you'll see in these pics, 3 adorable Russell siblings, all wearing, I'm assuming a homemade jumper. So 3 siblings all wearing the same. Very cute. Well done, the whole Russell family. Mending and repair of clothes was also the normal, which I don't know about you, I have never personally done, but hopefully after this we'll be doing more of. The fashion industry also normally had like 2 big fashion releases a year. That's drastically changed. And it was quite a luxury to have anyone apart from someone in your family making your clothes. So again, very different to now. Next slide, please, Jessie. Thank you. So how have we gotten from the good old days to the fast fashion that we know now? Obviously, time has gone by, and with that, technology has advanced and our population has continued to increase. And all of these things have affected the fashion industry. So just think about things as simple as like the invention of sewing machines. Like when a sewing machine was invented, maybe you could make like 1 jumper a week, but then think about the invention of mass machinery that can produce like 1,000 jumpers in an hour or something. And then I was thinking about, you know, the invention of synthetic materials. That is massive. Back in the old days, it didn't exist. And then there's obviously accessible, fast and cheap international freight, even the invention of the internet. Like online shopping was not a thing. Now we can order something and it's there literally the next day, which all of these things have been amazing for the world and also really terrible. So these are just a few of the ways that have changed over time that have shaped the way of fast fashion. Next slide, please. And it has all led to where we are now. So I've popped up here some hilarious and truly grim fast fashion fails. I'm sure a bunch of us have actually experienced some of these firsthand. And pretty much all of this has been where we are now. Clothing is so poor quality and dirt cheap. And when I put up these pictures of the fashion fails, I firstly put them up because I thought they were funny. And then I was like, it actually visually represents fast fashion to a T. The fact that the quality is so crap. And so from a brand point of view, there's no accountability on the brand. They can just make these crap cheap clothes and they're sort of not really having any repercussions. And then from a consumer point of view, 1, it's super annoying when this happens if you have like an event the next day. But 2, most of the time, these fashion fails are just going directly to landfill. I doubt anyone's kind of taking the time to try to mend these things into something actually wearable. Yes, marketing has also changed drastically. The messaging is very much, if you don't have the latest jacket, shoes, whatever, we're not really worthy. So we're sort of getting that external pressure from marketing on, as you know, all of the channels that we are on 500 billion times a day. So that's also not ideal. And the fact that the clothes are being made so cheaply and being sold so cheaply has really made this disposable culture. I don't know about you guys, but I don't know why I would spend so much time fixing a hole when I can literally buy the exact same thing for dirt cheap and it's going to arrive on my doorstep in sometimes a matter of hours. So all of that has really created this toxic fast fashion environment. So all of this has forced consumers to buy more frequently. And what's the problem with that, I hear you say? Well, we have highlighted 3. The first one being environmental. And this really shocked me when Jessie found this in her research. The textiles industry is actually ranked 2nd worst in the world for the most polluting industry. So it's only second to the energy/oil industry, which is obviously a real big one. But the fact that it's second blew my mind, because I think when you think about clothes that we need every day, you just don't think about the long supply chain and the processes that are involved in making the clothes, but it is hugely detrimental. 8% of the world's greenhouse gases come from the fashion textile industry. And for context, agriculture is 11%. So fast fashion is really up there with some of the real big hitters of our greenhouse gases. The human impact, this is a really, really sad one. 98% of people who are working in a textile factory earn less than the living wage. Like 98%, that is essentially almost everyone. So that is just absolutely appalling. And most of the people who are doing this work are women between 18 and 25. So that really hit home for me, thinking of the amazing time I've had in the last however many years and all of these women who are just being absolutely exploited around the world. As an example, one of the most junior workers in a factory in Bangladesh earns $10 a month. Like when I read that, I thought it was going to say a week or a day, but a month. So yeah, I don't want to be real doom and gloom, but that just is ridiculous. So maybe just let that sink on you for a little bit. And I promise there'll be an uplifting bit in a little bit of time. And then third, the landfill and waste. So 23 kilos is the weight of clothing that the average Australian throws out every year. So that is just wild. And only 7% of textiles are actually recycled. The rest is going to landfill. And Jessie will touch on that in a little bit more. And grimly, the amount of clothes that do go to landfill has actually increased by 40% over the past 10 years. So this issue is on the rise. So it is something that needs some immediate action. Next slide, please, Jessie. Thank you. And because we love a visual example here at Climates, for an average Australian, if you are living to 80 years old, 23 kilos per year per human, this equals a pile as big and as heavy as a caravan, a rhino, or your casual excavator. So that's insane. So I was thinking about it today, looking at my wardrobe, looking at the pile of clothes on my random chair in my room. You think that's a lot, and then think about your whole lifetime. The pile of clothes would probably fill up your whole house. Just wanted to do a little activity, mainly for you to think about. There's no participation, don't worry. With the clothes that you are wearing right now, can you answer these questions? Do you know what they're made of? Do you know where they came from? Do you know who made them? Do you know how much that person was paid? I don't know about you guys. I don't know for what I'm wearing. My label will tell me what country it's from and some of the primary materials that it's made of, but it definitely isn't telling me who made it, exactly what town it's from, how many places has this top been before I've actually bought it in the store. And also with the materials that are made from it, if you're seeing anything on your tags that say polyester, nylon, acrylic, spandex, vinyl, propylene, they are all made from fossil fuels. So that essentially means they are made from oil, which one obviously is really bad for our environment, but also disgusting that we wear that on our skin pretty much 24 hours a day. So the point of this slide is just to kind of get you to slow down and take a beat and have a think about what's actually your clothes and what are the impact of your clothes. It doesn't take much, take 30 seconds next time you're buying something or you're about to go check out your cart. Just take a quick 1-2 and have a think about these things, because if you can't easily get the information, it's probably not a good sign. But yeah, just an example to get you all to have a bit of a think about your purchasing habits. So as the supply chain lengthens for fast fashion, we become increasingly disconnected from where our clothes have come from. And I'm going to pass over to Climate Jessie, who is going to talk about that in a bit more detail.
Hello, thank you, Sally. All right, so it is going to stay just slightly grim for a little bit longer, and then that uplift, it's coming. But yeah, when you hear about textiles being the second biggest polluting industry in the world, you kind of think, where is this happening? Like, at how many different places is this contributing to that huge greenhouse emission? And I think looking and breaking down the supply chain helps to understand how it is actually so detrimental to our environment and our people. because it, as we'll see, it touches on so many different facets with water pollution and air pollution and transport emissions and that kind of thing. So let us go through. So I'm going to run through each stage, and I'll try not to get too into the weeds. I get really passionate about this part, so I'll try and keep it light. So at the very start of the journey of our clothing, it starts with the raw extraction, or the extraction of raw material, sorry. So like Sal said, most of our clothing, about 2/3, are actually made from synthetics, like plastic. So they start as like a little pellet that's melted down and then strewn out into threads. Cotton is grown on a farm, and it's actually really, really thirsty. So 1/4 of all clothes are made from cotton. And you think, oh, cotton, that's, you know, a natural product. That's going to be, that's going to be decent. But actually, cotton is one of the most thirsty plants on the planet. It uses more water to produce cotton than it does to the equivalent amount of beef, which is nuts because so many people make the choice to go to a vegan diet because of water consumption involved in growing animal products. But yeah, cotton's actually thirstier than beef by the kilo. It's also a huge consumer of insecticides and pesticides, which get into the soil, ruin the soil and ruin the waterways. So there's some nasty stuff that goes into this stage. And you might be thinking, oh, but you can get organic cotton that isn't treated with pesticides and looks after the environment a bit better. But actually only 1% of cotton out there in clothing is organic, and it's really hard to identify. So then when it comes to the actual production of the textiles, of the fabric, this is done in usually a different country to the raw material has been produced. There's all sorts of heat treating, bleaching and dyes that goes into this. So that is got a huge electricity consumption to operate those different machines and such. And then the waste from that often ends up in the waterways as well, those bleaches and dyes. Then the design phase, which is something I hadn't really thought about. I'd thought about the environmental impact and I thought about the social impact on the workers in factories, but I hadn't thought about the design phase of things, and that there's a lot of hardworking artists who are just getting their work just plain ripped off by the likes of H&M, or still can't pronounce it right, Shein? Nailed it. So there's these knockoffs here, and it only takes a tweet like this to just like really feel for those people. So there's a lot of copyright infringements that go on around this design phase as well that are really hurting some pretty talented artists. The actual manufacturing. So I think something we forget as well is that there's actually human hands that are in the textiles production process. I kind of think that there's all these machines that make stuff these days, but there are a lot of elements of the clothing manufacturing process that human hands have to touch. So it's kind of weird to think that the thing you're wearing now, the hands of someone in a different country actually help to sew that together. And these people are often in places like Bangladesh or India and can be treated really poorly. I think Sal touched on this with enough grim stuff already, but there's one example that really caused like a powerful turning point in the fashion industry in a horrible way. There was a building collapse in Bangladesh about 10 years ago, nearly 10 years ago, that killed over 1,000 people. And these workers had been complaining to their bosses for a long time, saying there's cracks appearing in the building, and they were ignored and saying, you got to keep working, we've got these deadlines to make, keep cracking on. And it resulted in a building collapse. So that was really a really horrible thing to happen. But the only good thing that can come out of that was, it was a powerful catalyst to actually getting some change in this industry and starting a conversation of people being like, well, where did my crap actually come from? Then our clothes get into the retail space. So I guess traditionally that would have been in an actual shop. I used to work at Target and things used to come like individually wrapped in plastic, have like paper in between each of the different layers of stuff, or bags of clothes would be wrapped in plastic before we put them on the shelves. So it's a huge plastic waste that occurs at the retail level. And then there's also the visual merchandising of stuff as well, which can be have a lot of plastic waste going on there. And when stuff isn't sewn, this happened, just naming and shaming Target here, stuff was actually dumped into the bins out the back of the place at the end, because they didn't want to have other people getting hold of the goods and therefore like devaluing the items that are around. About to hit that pickup, you guys, it's coming. Then the consumer use, surprisingly to me, this was actually it's actually the most resource intensive stage of the whole journey of that our clothing goes on. And that's when it comes to being in our house and we wash stuff frequently, and every time there's usually detergents or water use, maybe electricity for washing or tumble drying things. And every time we wash those synthetic clothes that we have, there's little microplastics that come out of those clothing and get into our waterways as well, which ultimately gets back into animals and then into us. And then lastly, the disposal of our garments. A surprisingly low amount of them that go to these like Vinnies or goods semis bins actually end up being purchased again by other people and going into secondhand. Fast fashion has created this nasty thing where there's so much being produced and we're all going through it so quickly that people aren't op shopping as much, I think, and it's cheaper to just and easier to go buy something new. So those 23 kilos a year that people are going through, there's just simply not enough demand to get them through those op shops. So a lot of them end up in landfill, which often gets shipped back to another country such as Africa. And then because a lot of them are plastic, they don't actually decay. Or if they do, it just gets into our soil and things. So on top of all of that grimness is the transport factor. So a lot of our clothes are actually more well-traveled than we are and see more of the world than we have. So for all of these steps that I've just gone through, the first step is usually where the cotton or the plastic is produced for our clothes. That usually happens somewhere like China. It might be sent to India for processing, sent to Bangladesh for cutting and sewing, shipped off to Sri Lanka for packaging and processing, and then sent to Australia or New Zealand for the point of sale. And then if you're the kind of person who will buy several sizes online because you don't know how they're going to fit, and then it gets returned, that's also got to be shipped somewhere too. And then at the end of their life, they often end up back in a place like Africa for disposal. So this creates like all sorts of transport emissions and leads to congestions on our roads and some pretty well-traveled clothing. So when we think about the true cost of our clothing and you think about that $45 dress that you might be able to buy or the $10 t-shirt, the true cost behind that is actually really hidden in that production phase, and often comes with a human cost and an environmental cost. It's pretty grim. But here's Mel to pick us right up, cracking into some solutions.
Yay, I get the fun section. I really did well.
Yeah, I know, jealous. I just pooped on the party.
I know, you should have had this. This was your baby. So thank you, Jessie, for giving me the good bit. Yes, hi everyone, I'm Mel. I'm going to talk to you about what we can do to change this. And the good news is we're the ones in control. Next slide, please, Jessie. So this is a fun little graphic that Jessie found. And it talks about what people think sustainable fashion is versus what it actually is. Because contrary to popular belief, making your wardrobe more sustainable is as easy and cheap as just wearing the clothes you already have. You don't have to buy the $300 fair trade, sustainably sourced organic linen t-shirt. That's not accessible to everyone. And also it's a bit boring. You don't want to be wearing that every day. But wearing the clothes you have, thrifting, mending, washing with care, turning old clothes into rags, repurposing clothes, borrowing, and yes, buying from sustainable brands can all have an incredible impact on the fast fashion industry. So let's deep dive a little bit on these solutions. So a little bit about me. I hate shopping unless it's preceded with the words op or online. I hate malls with a passion, and they give me a headache. And I've always been really comfortable wearing secondhand clothes. But what I've struggled with is the taboo of repeating outfits, or failing to update my wardrobe every season. So whenever there's a special occasion or a new season, or honestly, if I'm just in the mood, I'll often go to Savers and I'll spend 3 hours there. Like, I'll be the person with the shopping trolley full of secondhand clothes, but clothes nonetheless. Just, it's ridiculous. And so obviously, while like it's better that I'm buying secondhand clothes rather than new clothes, it still doesn't challenge this idea that we can have new clothes whenever we want them. It's still an addiction to shopping, even though someone else loved these clothes before I did. So this year I've been really trying to rethink my wardrobe and wear the things that I absolutely love to wear repeatedly. So total transparency time. These overalls, I got them from ASOS. They're from a brand called Monkey. I'm pretty sure they're not a great brand. I will be looking into it more, but you know, they're about $90, so they're kind of on the cheaper side, I guess, for overalls. But I've lived in these overalls this winter and before, you know, autumn and winter. I've worn these overalls probably 3 to 4 times a week. And yes, it's even got to the point where I've had to say to people like, yes, I know I'm wearing the overalls again, but like, no one cares. No one cares that I wear these overalls to death. And I feel really comfortable. I feel cute. And I think for me, you know, if you're wearing something repeatedly, that's better than just constantly churning through new clothes all the time. So I think that's when it comes to repeating clothes, wear what you love, wear what you feel good in. I'm still going op shopping because it is a pleasure of mine, but I'm not allowing myself the trolley, and I only buy things now that like fit me perfectly. So again, this jumper is an op shop find. It's country road. It's so soft, it's comfortable, and I wear it to death. So I'm trying to be a bit more mindful now when I go op shopping and only buy things that I actually want to wear, rather than in the past I used to be like, oh, it's a bargain, you know, it's a good brand, or I might wear it. I don't do that anymore. So I'm hoping by the end of this, you guys have a think about the taboos that you want to challenge within yourself, whatever the things are that are keeping you in this cycle of buying clothes, if you are doing that, and challenging those for yourself. Next slide, please. This solution's pretty straightforward and easy. Just do less washing. That's great, right? Like, apart from undies, most of your clothes probably don't need to be washed every time you wear them. I've even started wearing my gym clothes, you know, twice maybe. It depends on how sweaty the workout is. If it's a gentle, you know, Pilates sesh, then I will wear them again because they don't smell. I think the thing to think is, you know, sniff the armpits, sniff the crotch. If they're whiffy, chuck them in the wash. If they're not, you can probably hang them back up and use them again. This one's a really fun one because instead of throwing away any clothes that have holes in them, what you can do is you can make something incredibly unique to you. I'm not a seamstress by any stretch of the imagination. My mum's tried to teach me multiple times and I just can't quite get it, but I can fix a hole. Like that's pretty basic. I think we can all do that. But if you want to take it the next level, there are so many tutorials on YouTube that you can have a look at, that you can make things like this, that you can, you know, patch over a hole, or, you know, with like a fun patch or some sort of, you know, intricate little stitching design thing like up on here. And I just think in the world of mass-produced clothing, that's really cool to have something that's entirely unique to you and that you've repaired. I think there's a lot of satisfaction that comes with that. It's the same with shoes. You know, if you have a pair that you really love, but are starting to look a bit worse for wear, like consider getting them resold rather than buying a new pair. If you love them, it's probably going to be cheaper for you to get them resold than it is to buy a brand new shiny pair of shoes. And even if your winter jumpers, for example, are getting a bit pilly and a bit gross, get a fabric shaver. Not only will it renew your tracky dacks, your winter jumpers, all those things, it is so satisfying to use those fabric shavers. I don't know if anyone here has them, but I could do it all night. Like, I love it. I just sit there. It's just seeing the little balls collect in the little glass thing. It's amazing. So highly recommend everyone invest in a fabric shaver. Now, sometimes you know without a shadow of doubt that you'll never wear something again. Maybe it no longer fits you, it's got a big stain on it that you can't get rid of, or it's just simply beyond repair. But there are still so many ways you can repurpose it into something that you love. Again, YouTube tutorials are your friend here. And I really love these examples that Jessie found, like, you know, whether it be using your wedding gown that you're never going to wear again. And I know some people are sentimental with their wedding gown, so maybe not that, but like a fancy dress you know you're never going to wear, but it makes a really nice top. Or, you know, an old pair of jeans that you can turn into a tote, wall hangings with a pattern that you really love. Like, the internet is awash with ideas for how you can repurpose your clothes. As I said before, I'm obsessed with thrifting, but I'm trying to curb that enthusiasm a little. But if you're someone who's never been down to the Vinnies down the road, then I highly encourage you get involved. They can be absolute treasure troves. And especially for things like winter jumpers, basic tees, you can't go wrong. There are so many, and pretty much every winter jumper I own comes from an op shop. But if that's still not for you, there's also online thrifting that you can do. eBay, Facebook Marketplace, and Depop are all really great for finding the secondhand bargain. You do run the risk of not being able to try them on, obviously, or return them. But if you ask for measurements or a photo one, you can usually get a good idea of what you're dealing with. And those places, Facebook Marketplace, Depop, they're also really great if you have things that you don't love anymore, that you can put on there to sell and make a bit of cash. So, hot tip. If you do have a wedding or a ball or something really fancy where you actually don't have anything to wear in your cupboard, consider renting it. There are so many places online where you can rent designer clothing for less than 1/10 of the retail price. There's the Vault, Rent the Runway, Glam Corner, Style Theory. There's so many. And if you have an outfit that's a bit special, you could again consider putting it online to create some, generate some income for yourself as well. And that might even encourage you to buy something that is a bit more expensive and better quality, because you can make some money back by renting it out. I bought this Selkie dress, which I saw everywhere on Instagram, and it was way more than I would normally spend on a dress, but I had my hens and I knew I wanted to wear that. But it's like this puffy sleeved baby doll thing. Like, there's very few occasions I'm going to be able to wear it again. So I'm going to put it on one of these platforms so that someone else can wear it, because I'm not ready to quite part with it, but I want someone else to enjoy it. There's also some circular subscription programs you can sign up for. This is a really good one for new parents, because even though there's nothing cuter than little baby outfits, I know a lot of the people in my life who've got young children end up buying their baby clothes from like Kmart or things like that, because they just can't justify spending money on clothes that their kids are going to grow out of in 2 months. So there's circular subscription. I think there's one called Conscious Koala, Numidin, and Grow Kinder, where they'll send you like cute clothes for the duration of your child being in that size. Once you're done with it, you pack it up and they send it on to another family to enjoy. And I think there are similar models for adults too. And what I've read is that this space is only going to grow in future. So we might all be just passing our clothes on to the next person once we're sick of it in the future. And another thing for if you have a special occasion is rating your friend's wardrobe. My group chats are often full of my friends being like, help, I need a black top for Friday, and then we all send photos of like, I have this top, do you want this? And that's just a really nice kind of, I don't know, it's a nice thing to do for your friends. Usually we're friends with people who have a similar taste in clothing as we do. So you've got unlimited resources when you tap into your friends' wardrobes. But yeah, as I said earlier, sometimes there's really no saving a garment. Styles evolve and change, as do our bodies, and there's really no point clinging onto something that you know you'll never wear again. In that instance, we want to dispose of things as meaningfully as possible. Clothing swaps are great. We used to do them at Thank You. That's where I met Sal and a few other people who are on this call. And I still have a sports bra that Sal swapped with me. I wear it all the time. So thank you, Sal. As I said earlier, there's Facebook Marketplace, Depop, when you want to get rid of some clothes that are a bit more special, and you know you could probably make some money from. You can donate to shelters and op shops, although as Jessie touched on, a lot of these places are really overrun with clothes. So it's a good idea to call first and say, do you actually need these clothes? Because yeah, otherwise they just end up going to landfill. And if a garment's at the very end of its life cycle, there's no saving it, you can transform them into rags. My husband fixes motorbikes, so he's always using our rags for grease and whatnot. But you can also use them for cleaning products if you don't build motorbikes. So it's a good one. And the final solution is to buy better clothes. And I know it can be hard to determine what exactly better means, because being sustainable is cool now. So a lot of brands will do what is called greenwashing, where they'll slap a, made from 45% recycled cotton on sticker on something and call that, being sustainable. It's not. But luckily there's an app that can help you sort through what is a legit sustainable brand and what is not. It's called Good On You. It's free and it'll tell you how your favorite brands measure up when it comes to pollution, waste, and human rights abuses. And if you're in the market for a particular item, it can also suggest some ethical brands for you. We highly encourage you to download it after the presentation if you want to. It's called Good On You. And we really recommend it. And just in finishing, when it comes to clothing, remember that price is not an indicator of quality or ethics. Some of the biggest brands, the most luxurious brands that we all know of, are terrible when it comes to textile waste, to human rights abuses and all that. So just keep that in mind and rely on things like this app to help you. And that's all from me. So I'll hand back to Jessie to finish us off.
Thank you, Mel. So lots of solutions thrown into the mix, but the more we can all be talking about these issues, I think the better, because it's not that people don't care and that they're meaningfully disposing of so many clothes and churning through so many clothes. There's so many marketing forces that have been thrown into the mix over the last 2 decades that have really trained us to behave this way. And it's going to be a slow process to train ourselves out of it. So, and I think it's largely got to this point because people, don't quite know about how detrimental certain things can be, or, we've just been trained not to think about it. We've just been trained to buy, really. So the more, if you found stuff interesting tonight, or if there's like one key takeaway that you found, we would really encourage you as a major solution to talk to people. The more people know, the better informed decisions they can make. And we have the opportunity to create this awesome ripple effect where if you tell 3 people and those 3 people tell 3 people and they tell 3 people, next minute everybody knows. So let's all start talking about this crazy issue. So to wrap up, we would like to throw a challenge out there with this sassy cupboard. And we would love to challenge you guys to rethink your wardrobe. I saw in the chat that my sister's already given this a go and looking to shop her own wardrobe for the next little while. It's an awesome way to cut back on the amount of textiles you're circling through, and also just a good challenge to be a bit more creative as well. Might also be a bit kinder on the old wallet. But yeah, if you're feeling up for it, we would encourage you guys to have a think about whether there's a particular month or perhaps a season that you might want to choose to perhaps go to not shop anything new, or to not shop anything at all, or to just shop secondhand. And we're going to chuck a pledge out there in the coming days after this webinar. to just see see what interest we can get in that, and get some people talking. I did manage to do this for all of last year. I set a challenge at the start of 2021. Once I read and watched some docos about the textiles industry, I said to myself that for all of 2021 that I wasn't going to buy anything brand new. And I'm not the biggest fashionista, but I think I got away with it most of the year. Like, I didn't have brand spanking new outfits for everything. But throughout the whole year, I did draw a line, by the way. New undies were acceptable. I did not go quite as low as wearing somebody else's undies and bathers, but I did go most of the year without buying anything brand new, and it felt quite cool, actually. I'm sure I saved a lot of money, and it saved probably a lot of stress as well, not being like, oh, there's something coming up, panic, I've got to find something to wear, because I just was wearing what I already had. Or I was, spending 20, 30 bucks to go and just find a nice secondhand dress at a recycle boutique or something. So to wrap it up before we throw it out to the chat, we just wanted to say shout out to my dad, Wayne. This is Dad's gardening hat. Why get a new one when the other one works just perfectly fine? Yes, it was literally falling off his head. But I think looking to our folks sometimes is a cool source of inspiration, because while marketing has trained us to buy more and more, the marketing giants have had to train our parents' generation into not buying new things. No, into buying new things, sorry. They had to train them into buying, and we're having to train ourselves out. So they grew up in a generation where you had to, squeeze every penny and make things last. And this is what the marketing giants are coming up against. So in summary, be more like Wayne. And we kind of wanted to throw it out now as well and start off some chat by saying, are there anything that your parents have held on to or repaired to no end, just to avoid buying something new? Or if you have any questions, we'd love for you to just jump in, or if you've got any comments on the challenge. And feel free to pop your cameras on if you're done cutting onions, or I don't know, doing whatever you're doing, because it's always nicer to see people's faces when we could see your face.
Well done, Wayne. Love your hat.
He'll be here all night.
My parents aren't really hanger-oners of things, but my mum, I did ask her to send me some photos of when she was young, because she just only ever made her clothes. And she'd use her sister's clothes to create a new outfit. This is, it's literally a bit of fabric tied around.
Oh, damn.
She had the body for it, but she, when we were growing up, she'd make all of our clothes and stuff too from old bits of fabric. And I don't know, I love that that's what she did. She never bought anything for us or herself when we were growing up. It was always handmade, and I just think that's so special. Now I look back on those photos of everything she made for us, and it's imbued with so much love and creativity. It's so much more special, I think, than if she'd bought me something from the shops. So I want to get back to that. I really want to learn how to sew, and I will one day.
Love
Spurgey, I'm the same with my mum as well. Sorry, I can't pull a video. I'm trying to keep the baby asleep on me. My mum used to make an outfit. She'd sew an outfit every single week for the weekend. And one of my biggest issues with my mum is that she never really kept a lot of that from when she was younger, because she thought that it would be outdated by the time I was a teenager or whatever. And I'm like, no, that stuff would have been the best, cute little baby doll outfits and stuff.
Yeah.
But my mum and my grandmother were always quite resourceful people, and even my grandma would go and collect cigarette butts from my grandpa from the backyard, and she would get the filters out so that he could reuse them. That's how hectically resourceful she was. And they both used to sew quite a lot. So I picked up a bit of that as well. And now, even though I don't have a sewing machine at home, I really value being able to take stuff to my local alterations place and have, things altered or slightly changed, or even taking shoes into like the shoe place and having new soles put on boots that I love that I don't want to throw out, because it's actually like, why would we throw out these amazing boots just because like part of the sole is worn away? But we're in that mentality of thinking, no, like I'll just get new ones because these don't really look as good anymore. But actually it might just be one small thing to keep them going for another, say, 5 years, even if they're good quality. Yes. And so, yeah, just those little things definitely have helped. Thought I'd just add that in, and I will go back to keeping the baby asleep. Thanks, everyone.
That was great, Ten. I agree. I only recently went to the tailor near me. It's like, why? I mean, it can be expensive. It can be more expensive than you think. But I had a bunch of like maxi dresses that I never wore because I'm 5'3" and I drown in the fabric. But I got them taken up to middies, and now I wear them all the time. And it's like, I loved these dresses and I never wore them, and now I do because I got the hems taken up, which I could do myself. I know I could learn, but you know, if you can't sew, go to the tailor. It is great.
I did another one recently where I had bought these really nice linen sheets a little while ago, and it's such a luxury to buy linen sheets. I know, just adding myself there, but from gripping the top of the sheets and pulling them up around my chin, they were starting to rip at the top, and I was devastated because, you know, the linen gets softer the more you wash it, and it just gets more and more comfy. And so I ended up just like trimming it down, like cutting it off and then hemming the top of it so that it was able to be used still. And I did that a couple of times until it got to the point where my feet started poking out at the end because it was getting too short. And then I made a pillowcase out of half of it, and I made a shirt out of the other half and wore it to your birthday once.
I remember. It looked great.
So, you know, it was an expensive kind of luxury item, but it became, you know, 2 new sheets, a pillowcase, and a t-shirt.
I love it. I want to give a shout out to Margaret Ridings on the call, which is our auntie. She has made her clothes herself for quite a while. I don't know if you're still doing it, Marg, but has certainly done it for a long time, has made me a dress from pattern and, you know, really, really high quality as well that I still have. And Judy Russell, am I right in saying, did Marg make your wedding suit, or am I off there? Because that's pretty cool, and Mum still has it. I just might be wrong, but I think she did. Either Marg or Mum, if you can come off mute. I think they're probably, because they've got 2 devices, probably trying to make it not give feedback.
She's walking away. She's thinking. She's working on it.
We have while they're thinking, just in case anyone wants to pop off for dinner, because I know that we're coming up on time, the winner of our UV prize is Demi.
Oh, yay!
Demi!
Hello.
Oh, thank you.
Remember who your sister is, Dim. Just remember who your sister is.
What'd you say?
I remember who your sister is.
Oh,
yeah.
who is she? I don't know her.
It's me.
Maybe one's in.
I'm here now.
Nice. Well done, Dim.
Yay, thank you. Well done for attending.
Yeah.
I'm here now, Jess.
This is really karma for you, Demi, because once you lent me a dress for something, and I think that this is it coming back to you in some way.
Oh, thanks, Jen. Yay.
I will get these to you somehow at some time.
Thank you. Yay.
I'm here now, Em.
And Margaret,
Yes, Jess.
did you make Mum's wedding suit?
Correct. I
Yeah.
did.
Wow. Very good. It's like
Yes,
a 3-piece with the hat and the top and the.
Oh, I didn't make the hat.
Okay.
I didn't make the hat. I made my own wedding dress and my little sister's bridesmaid dresses too, but that was back in the days of people sewing. Not that everyone sewed. I think I was the only one of my friends, but I always have until probably maybe the last 10 years since our crazy lifestyle we have now, I don't seem to have time now that I'm retired. Girls, all get ready for that. When you go retire and you don't have any time.
The irony.
Live it up.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. So it was my pleasure to make your mother's wedding outfit.
And it was my pleasure to wear it. I just wanted to say that one of the things that one of you girls was talking about, not worrying about wearing the same outfit twice or wearing it again. And I had this big hang up about people judging me on what I wore. And someone said to me, well, can you remember what the person sitting next to you or the receptionist at work or this person was wearing yesterday? Can you remember what shop they had on or what shows they had on or whatever? And I couldn't. And I use that as my mantra now, is that no one remembers what you wear. You're the only one that's stressed about the fact that you're wearing the same outfit to the office 3 times a week. And I think that's a really good way to think about things.
Absolutely. We were talking earlier about, I don't know if you all remember this a few years ago when Carl Stefanovic wore on the Today breakfast show, he wore the same suit every single day for a year because his co-host Lisa Wilkinson used to get so much crap if she ever repeated an outfit. So he wore a blue suit every day for a year and didn't get a single comment. And at the end of the year, he said, I hope you've all noticed, I wanted you all to know I've worn the same suit and, and in protest of the crap Lisa gets for wearing, certain outfits. So it is a bit of a gendered issue, I think, with women. But yeah, as you said, Judy, no one else really cares apart from us. So.
I even wore a secondhand wedding dress for our big day. I got it off Still White. People might have heard of it or might not have, but you can put in brands, you can put in your size, you can put in whether you can locally pick it up or try it on, or you could buy one from the US that's secondhand. But there's heaps and heaps of dresses on there, and then you can on-sell it again yourself. It's pretty cool.
Love it. That might be a wrap, you guys.
I reckon. Thanks so much again, everyone, for coming. I don't know if you said it before, I had to feed the gremlin, but thank you all so much. It means so much that you spend your Wednesday nights with us, and hopefully you can take something away into your life.
I can hear him screaming at you, Val.
It's part of the sleep training. I'm dying. Anyway, everything's great.
All right. On that note, everyone, thanks for coming. Have a great night.
Thank you very much.
If you have any other questions, let us know on Instagram, maybe we can get back to you.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, fam.
Bye.